Hi everyone. Today we are talking about the Newbie Byte for word count. So in word count, you're going to need three new tools. The first is a string method called dot split. The second is a string method called dot split lines. And the third is a built-in function called len. That is short for length. You're trying to figure out how long a Python object is. Just a brief reminder, we have spoken about this before, but what is a method? A method is a function that is connected to a certain type. So if it is a string method, then you have to use these functions solely on strings and you access it with the dot notation. So if you remember back to newbie number 8, we use the string method dot lower, dot upper, and dot title because we took these strings of the different transformers and we either lowercase them, uppercase them, or title cased them. So in today's, we need to take a look at the stir dot split method. So here we have the text object, which is hello world. Then we create a new object. Again, the label is words and the value is the text object dot split. And when we print this out, this is what it looks like. The default arguments for dot split are all white space characters. So a white space character in this context can be a new line character, a blank space, or a tab character. And so you can see that essentially what dot split does is it takes a string, it identifies wherever we have white space, and it splits those into individual items and returns a list. So if we're talking about type hintings, this type hint is a string, where this is a list. Now, we can change this to give you a little bit better of an idea. And we say this is getting longer. And if we run that, then essentially any characters that are separated by white space gets put into its own individual item. And again, just to show you that this doesn't have to be just spaces, let's come back here. Let's add a new line character instead. If I print text, you can see that it separates the string onto two separate lines. We have hello world, and then this is getting longer. But down here, we get that same list. So anywhere where you have white space, dot split will split it into an item and put it into a list. Now, what about dot split lines? Well, as you can imagine, it's very similar to split, but instead of working on any white space, it only works on new lines. So here you can see I no longer have parts of the string that are separated by spaces as individual items. I only have the portions of the string that were separated by the new line. Now, it doesn't always have to look like this. Instead, in Python, if you do a triple string instead of just a double string, you can actually put in new lines just like this. So if I print out the text now and I run it, you can see that I have line 1, line 2, and line 3. And when I call the text.splitlines method, then I get each individual line for its own list item. Now, the final tool that you're going to need today is the len tool. Here, if we pass in just that text and I print that out, I get hello world. If instead I wrap this in the len function and I print out that, I get 13. And that's because the string up here is 13 characters long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So yes, when you pass in a string to len, it counts everything including white spaces. If we take a look at just the words, when we pass in words, which is the text.split object, and we print that out, we see that we get a list. So if we come back in here and we do len of words, what do you think this is going to be? Well, it turns out that that list has 2 items and therefore it has a length of 2. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be just strings. That's why I put in this last one here. Here we have a list of numbers. And if I pass in numbers and I print that out, you can see now I have 5. And that's because this list has 5 items: 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Between using the dot split lines, which are both string methods, and the built-in len function, you should be able to solve today's byte. Good luck.